Just because you have a mental illness doesn't mean that you're weak.
Hello, I'm Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins. It's a pleasure to join you all virtually this year for the 2021 CODA Youth Summit. I want to thank the founder and president, my friend Stephanie Marquesano, for making this possible and providing a safe space to promote co-occurring disorder awareness for teens and young adults. It is so inspiring to know that such a large group of young people are here who understand the importance of getting involved, advocating for better treatment practices, and staying active in our communities. In the United States, 43% of youth receiving mental health services were identified as having co-occurring substance use disorder. CODA provides a meaningful opportunity for our youth to amplify the conversation around the intersection between mental health and substance misuse and addiction. Providing resources in mental health and trauma-informed services, CODA supports youth before a crisis and creates better outcomes. As an elected official representing parts of Westchester, I am so proud that our county is the first in the nation to embrace the CODA approach to changing outcomes. While some may consider addiction and mental health taboo, the Senate majority has prioritized increasing access to resources and programming dedicated to supporting those in recovery, particularly as many feel isolated and alone during this pandemic. In addition, our conference is so fortunate to have Senator Pete Harckham, also of Westchester, serving as the chairman of the Alcoholism and Substance Abuse Committee. Senator Harckham uses his personal experience with addiction to advocate on behalf of other New Yorkers who are still struggling. You can be assured that the Senate majority will continue advocating for you and all people across the state who deserve greater treatment and prevention access. I urge you all to use this summit as an opportunity to share your ideas and express yourselves as you network and develop new skills during today's programming. You are all powerful agents of change in the community, and I look forward to seeing how each of you uses that power to uplift and inspire your generation and the next. Thank you.
Hi, I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, and I want to bring greetings to all who will be attending today's first virtual CODA Youth Summit. There are many issues that are important to cover. Unfortunately, we can't be face-to-face and next to each other. Hopefully, next year at this time, we'll be back in person. But there are a lot of life-changing events that we are dealing with, certainly over the last year. The pandemic, the issues of racial injustice that have been brought to the fore in our society, and what those impacts are on mental health and on the wellness of students. The discussions today are important because the voice of young people has to be heard in these issues, and it's important for us to listen, those of us who are in positions of authority that can help change policies and move us in the right direction looking forward. We see creativity and enthusiasm that comes out of this event, and that's very, very important. We also think that as you bring attention to the occurring disorders and the impact of co-occurring disorders on a generation, very important. Hopefully those things are ones that we can make progress in the year to come. The engaged youth are here, and also we're very happy to have this event co-hosted by Stephanie Marquesano, the Harris Project, DJ Whutever, Cornell Yarbrough, and iHeartRadio. And also sponsors include Westchester County Government, the Harris Project, Montefiore Hudson Valley Collaborative, and the Student Assistance Services. We hope that you have a very productive and an enjoyable time together virtually. We'll see you next year in person.
My name is Michael Orth, and I serve as the Commissioner of the Westchester County Department of Community Mental Health. Thank you for joining us for our virtual CODA Youth Summit 2021. We're so proud that the CODA movement started right here in Westchester County. I'm extremely grateful for the leadership and support of County Executive George Latimer, our elected officials and organizations who have been on this journey with us since day one, and of course Stephanie Marquesano of the Harris Project, who has been the driving force behind the CODA movement. The game changer has been all of you, our young people. Through youth voice and leadership, you have made a difference in providing meaningful opportunities for the young people to integrate the conversation and build awareness around mental health and substance misuse. Let's keep the conversation going, keep empowering more young people to join the movement, and keep it CODA Westchester County.
This summit is going to be awesome. Thank you, Harris Project, for all that you do.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 2021 Virtual CODA Youth Summit. Hi, Cornell. How are you doing?
I'm great. And yourself?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm hoping that people start turning their cameras on and we kind of start creating that safe
Yes.
space so we're all together. And I'm going to say that there's going to be a lot of polling, a lot of interactive opportunities. If you look at the name of this event, it was very deliberate. You see how it says you, but then you've got the TH in parentheses?
Mm-hmm.
We've got a bunch of adults, advisors, people that couldn't stay away. But when we do the things like the polling, we're really asking for our young people to be the voices in this, and for the adults to kind of hold your thoughts until another time, because this is really about capturing their voice. So here we are virtually. I will say that last year in March, when our youth summit was canceled, I had no idea what this was going to look like, what our world was going to become. Like, who would have known? And so, it's been a really challenging time. We've made a lot of advances doing Zooms and doing a lot of programming, but it felt so good to be able to come together and do this program tonight. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to tell everybody, he is DJ Whutever. But when he's with our space, it's Cornell, and I'm so grateful
Cornell
to
all
have
day.
you.
No, thank you for having me, Stephanie.
So we're going to kick this off with a poll, because our feeling is, let's get you engaged, cameras on, and just so you know, your reaction buttons work too. So applaud, give a heart, give a cheer, whatever it is that you're feeling. But Cornell, I'm going to kick the poll over to you. What do we got?
Okay. So what do you know about co-occurring disorders? Is it nothing, I've heard of it, a little, or a lot? Now, Stephanie, we're going to do a few of these polls during the evening, and I absolutely love this. So I'm waiting for the results to come in. Let's see.
I know, we kind of sit there and it's like, doot, 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 and we wait to see what
Yes.
happens.
And I see everybody with their cameras on. I love it.
Yeah, we see you. When we're polling, we see you. So hi, everybody.
Can everybody wave hello to us real quick? I see you guys. Let's see. I'm looking for the polls to close. Let's see. I'm waiting. They're coming in, Stephanie.
Okay, what do we got? Are we done?
All right. Are we? It looks like we might be done.
Yes,
Here we go. So we have a little seems to be the winner at 37%.
Okay.
A little at 37%. Nothing at 18%. I've heard of it. Came in second place at 25%. And then a lot is at 20%.
Okay, so that is perfect, because this event is designed, if you know nothing, you're going to learn something. If you know a little bit, you're going to learn a little bit more. And if you're somebody who's been doing that CODA work for quite some time, this is going to be all for you. So I want to just share, Cornell and I met not that long ago. We actually met in a virtual space at an event at my brother's keeper in New Rochelle. And I was in a Zoom room, and Cornell bopped in just to say hey, and we got to talking. And Cornell, why don't you share with the audience a little bit about why you got involved and what this CODA movement has meant to you, given your situation in your life?
Definitely. Well, I got involved because, co-occurring disorders is something that runs very deep with me. My father suffered from substance abuse and co-occurring disorders, until he passed away when I was 12 years old. So running into you in that room was just kind of like a godsend. And then when I found out about what you were doing, and, even with me, and doing everything that I'm doing, I wanted to find a way to get more involved in something like this. And so meeting you was a godsend, and I'm super happy to be here with you today, working and touching and talking to the people.
And I'm going to say, for me, I run into a lot of people in the work that I do, and people always say, oh, I want to get involved. I really want to help. So for the audience, I want you to know, Cornell emailed me incessantly. What can I do to help? How can I get? And I don't like asking for favors. And I said, Cornell, we're doing this youth summit. What do you think? And he's like, tell me where and when and what I have to do.
Exactly.
And the other really cool thing I'm going to share about you is, you're a radio DJ. You're the DJ for the New York Mets. You're doing all of this stuff with iHeartRadio. but Cornell takes no sponsorships from alcohol or substance use companies at all. Like Cornell said to me, like, not all money is good money. And when you look at his social
100%.
media, what do you see? Hydrate on water, that's like the brand that he promotes. And so it was such a match made in heaven. So, Cornell, we are so, so happy to have you as part of the movement. And for everybody who's never done anything CODA before, I think one of the easiest ways to show you what the movement is all about is by sharing our 2019 CODA Youth Summit video. So why don't we sit back for just 2 minutes and take a look at that.
We are so excited to have you today for our CODA Youth as Voices of Change Summit.
It's about raising awareness and starting the conversations.
They always talk about drugs and they always talk about mental illness, but they don't ever connect the two. There are people who really, really struggle with this and they feel like they're alone.
Many young people will get an injury, they'll get prescribed opioids.
When this CODA movement goes internationally, they're going to try to figure out where did it start. I'm with Game Changers.
We are the only nonprofit in the entire country that talks about co-occurring disorders. It's a diagnosis of one or more mental health challenges and substance misuse or addiction, drug and or alcohol. You are ground zero for this movement.
It was just exciting to see 400 students from 46 high schools in Westchester together in the room to learn about co-occurring disorders.
With you all being here, we are going to make history.
And make the commitment to support open dialogue within their schools.
We have 7 wonderful breakouts: sports, transformation through the arts, mindfulness, creating connections, leading change, and of course, what's important to me, in collaboration with the Montefiore Hudson Valley Collaborative.
Having a good day is kind of rare in high school because there's just so much stress.
Write down things that are important to you. That's steps and strategies on creating small goals.
Maybe something that can make it better, like being with my friends and family, playing soccer.
Someone may not know that was important to you, or that you even thought about that, unless they asked you, right?
We said that they should speak about CODA in some of our health classes too.
You can demonstrate how sports kept you away from the drugs.
We wrote out lists of things that made a good day good.
We brainstormed how we could use social media to spread this message of CODA.
If there was one thing that we could do as teachers to break stigma down, what do you think that could be?
Just having teachers validate and say, okay, I understand.
We were in the what's important to me room.
Oh, okay.
So these are some of our big priorities.
With social media and everything that we do now, adults in general tend to compare our lives now to their lives when they're growing up, and it's totally different.
I thought this tool was pretty helpful. It really helped me to prioritize things in my life that I need to put more focus on.
I really wish the youth that I work with would come in to our offices with these pieces of paper. It was courageous of you guys being able to write it down.
Good that you have that support. And the other thing that you realize is that not everyone does.
Yeah, that's where we come in.
Yeah. We learn about mental illness and we learn about drug abuse and overdose and all that stuff, but people don't realize that putting those things together can make it even more dangerous.
Just programs like this and really having people and young people like us talk about it's really important.
The work that you're doing today is going to help to save a life. Make CODA a household name and let it be known that right here is where it started.
Hi, everybody. So welcome back. So that was our 2019 CODA Youth Summit video. And Cornell, I'm sure you can imagine that energy, that excitement. That's kind of the piece. That's kind of what I'm missing. I'm missing that human connection, but we're trying to create that space with what we're doing right now. And so I'm going to toss it back because I really want to see that gallery. Let's do another poll. What do we got there, Cornell? Okay. What's poll number 2?
All right, poll number 2. Has your school been involved with CODA, CODA weeks, CODA presentation, CODA games, CODA club, CODA activities, CODA Youth Summit, or not yet? Let's see.
And you can vote for as many as you've done. You don't have to you can pick more than one choice for this one.
Exactly.
So let's see what we got.
Exactly. Let's see. Drum roll, please. Let's see what's happening. It looks like we're getting close. We're getting close. I think we're almost there. Let's see, Stephanie. Let's see. We're almost there. Let's see.
I'm
We're getting
feeling
close.
like CODA Youth Summit
You
should be
think
100%
you
because
think
you're all here.
It looks like it would be, right. So I think we're done. Let's see. It looks like CODA Youth Summit is the winner at 52%. We have CODA Weeks at 31%, CODA Presentation at 34%, CODA Game at 22%, CODA Club at 28%, CODA Activities at 42%, and Not Yet is only 28%. But the winner, Stephanie, is CODA Youth Summit, 52%.
That makes perfect sense. But I'm going to say for those of you that are in that not yet category, you're the ones who I'm like, okay, what are you going to take away from tonight? Like, what is this going to be? And for those in that 28%, you probably need this next section as much, if not more, as everybody else. So typically I'm a presenter. You know, I'm in an assembly, I'm on the stage, I hang out at your school all day long, and everybody starts getting engaged in the movement. Here at the Youth Summit, you know, I'm not going to do a 45-minute presentation on co-occurring disorders, but I feel like it's so necessary to do this kind of like CODA 101, like what's it all about? And so if you'll all indulge me, I'm going to do like a 5-minute mini presentation on what co-occurring disorders is, how this movement got started, and kind of why we do the work that we do. So I know that we have a slideshow, I think, for that CODA 101 piece, and that would be awesome. So here we are. Co-occurring disorders, the combination of one or more mental health challenges and substance misuse, drug and/or alcohol. More than 10.2 million people in this country alone meet the diagnostic criteria for co-occurring disorders. When I founded the Harris Project on October 23rd, 2013, I started the only nonprofit in the nation that focuses on the prevention and treatment of co-occurring disorders. Now, for me, this is a really real story. You know, if you've heard me present, you know that this all started because my son Harris died by accidental overdose in 2013. He was 19 years old. We live in Ardsley, Westchester County, and my vision was, you know, people like a young person does, they want to like, where do we make donations? What do we do? And somehow in the chaos of what was going on, I was like completely clear. He had, every program said he had co-occurring disorders. Every program said that they treated co-occurring disorders, yet within a year and a half after he went into the first of 5 inpatient rehabilitation programs and 5 inpatient and 2 outpatient, my son was dead. And so I thought this co-occurring disorders thing was something that I needed to figure out. For Harris, it was an anxiety disorder, an ADHD. He turned to substances to self-medicate. And that wound up being way more common than I ever thought. I sat at my kitchen table the way that any of you would do a research project, and I really unpacked what I thought was going wrong with the system. I didn't really know how it was going to go, but this journey that all of you young people have taken me on has really demonstrated the power of this. So in honor of Harris, you know, his birthday was April 8th, and we always do our CODA weeks in April. This is really, you know, designed to memorialize him, but to empower you to be the change. So let's keep moving. So the facts, 22% of all youth 13 to 18 have a diagnosable mental health disorder in a given year with severe impact. That means 1 in 4 and 1 in 5 young people are walking around just not feeling comfortable in their own skin. For Harris, he felt like he was the only one that felt that way. I think had he known that so many other young people were also feeling similar ways, that might have been the first step in things going differently for him. 50% of all lifetime mental health disorders begin by the age of 14 and 75% by the age of 24. Now, why does that matter? It matters because mental health disorders are disorders of the young. So if you don't know the risks that you might have, what goes on between 14 and 24? A lot of young people think that experimentation with substances, alcohol, marijuana, vaping, that's a rite of passage, not knowing that co-occurring disorders can develop. 43% of youth in treatment for a mental health disorder have a co-occurring substance use disorder, and 70% of youth in treatment for a substance use disorder have a co-occurring mental health disorder, which means by the time our young people go in for treatment, they're already complicated. Next slide. and the three main types of co-occurring disorders. So the majority of young people who develop co-occurring disorders, the mental health disorder is there first. Things like depression and bipolar disorder, anxiety disorders, PTSD and ADHD. They're not using substances to party. They're using substances to be able to go to the party feeling comfortable in their own skin. They want to relieve stress, emotional pain, and just feel like everybody else, not knowing how quickly that spiral down can happen. Then you have people who have like a substance use disorder predisposition and a mental health disorder, that like true co-occurring balancing act. And I know some of you, particularly in that 28% who really didn't know what this was all about, you're thinking, well, what she's talking about is interesting. I've never heard of this co-occurring disorders thing, but at least she's not talking about me. And this part of the conversation is where it impacts everybody. You know how they say your brain isn't fully developed until you're 25? So that's a real thing. So, you know, just using substances can change your typical brain chemistry, and you could develop a mental health disorder even if you weren't on track to do that. In fact, I do so much programming with student athletes. Why? Student athlete gets injured. They get prescribed opioids legally. Do they know that they can become addicted or dependent in 5 days or less? Do they know that they're taking something that can numb them out completely? And, you know, maybe they're feeling depressed because they're not working out with their friends, they're not doing the things that they would normally do, and that depression sets in and they're not feeling okay. Then you've got the genetics, family history, and trauma, which can also play a role. So, you know, when I'm in person, and even I will say, even in virtual, you know, presentations where the chat box is live and people are sending private messages, I'm always asked this question. So there's alcoholism in my family, just like what you talked about, Cornell. There's alcoholism in my family. What do I do when I turn 21? And to those students, I say, you know, 21 might not be a magic age for you. You know, we've set this line, but that may be a door you never want to open. It's my generation that kind of messed this up for everybody. You know, you go to that cocktail party, you're holding a drink. You go to that baseball game, you're holding a beer. We've kind of lost the ability to feel what we feel. And if we're not feeling okay, maybe talking to somebody about that and not self-medicating it. So all of these things can be factors in developing co-occurring disorders. And then, so I'm going to say the most exciting thing that happened for us before the 2019 Youth Summit is I did a presentation in New Rochelle for the community. And we had, those of the students who are now seniors who've been doing CODA since they were freshmen, they know this story. So we had a ribbon, and the ribbon said CODA on it. And I presented 4 weeks before the Youth Summit, and this woman came over to me at the end and she said, so I'm in marketing, you're going to go national. You don't want to be another ribbon in the pile, like lose the ribbon. Pick out something in your logo that has meaning, has value, and run with it. And literally, the 2 stars were always in the Harris Project logo because of a poem that my son wrote to my daughter Jensen, who's actually in the gallery right now. And the first line in that poem was, my little star ever glowing. And, you know, he's the big star and she's the little star. And so on one hand, you know, that's our personal thing. Like that's like our, like, you know, Easter egg. We know that when we see our logo, this is Harris and Jensen. And you can read more about the story behind the stars at theharrisproject.org. But for all of you, just waiting for the slide to switch, is the 2-star logo and what it embodies. So we've got the power of the human connection, right? That duality, and that's our hashtag CODA Connects, right? The ability to connect and support one another. And then we've got the benefit of linking to appropriate resources, which is our other hashtag, Be the Link. So everything about what we're doing is this duality. And then you've got the 2 main components of co-occurring disorders, mental health and substance misuse and addiction. So when, you know, when I'm going out and speaking, maybe before a co-occurring disorder awareness game, and you only get like the football team for a minute before they run out, it's so easy to just tell the story. And then the song that you were listening to, if you got in early and were watching the slideshow, that was a rap that a student wrote from one of our high schools, and it's called You Are Not Alone, which once again is that reminder that we're all connected and we're there for each other. So that's really what the logo is all about. And the movement. What is CODA designed to do? We want to increase the early intervention opportunities because oftentimes we talk about suicide and causes related to suicide and causes related to overdose and recovery. Our goal is to bring those conversations together. We want to increase the likelihood that those already impacted will seek help. We want to create a generation with no stigma related to these topics. And we want to create youth representatives who are truly the agents of change. And I think that that opening slideshow is a testament to the thousands of students across Westchester County who have brought this message to their schools and communities. The Virtual Youth Summit, I feel like you have the right to know kind of where this is going to go, because now the action is really going to get started. You really got the learning done, and now it's going to be all in. We're going to talk about the power of sports. We're going to talk about the impact of social media and the arts, how your voices in advocacy actually led to a transformation in the treatment model, how mindfulness and social emotional skills can empower you towards resiliency, and how you can go back to your schools and create those important connections to move forward as an agent of change. So our goal tonight is to really remind you that even though we're in this virtual space, you have such incredible power to make really lasting change, not just for you, but for the generations to come. So Cornell.
I love it.
So
what I was going to say, let's start with the power of sports.
Sure, that sounds like a good plan. So the New Rochelle crew that's in the house, I expect to see applause and thumbs up. Our very first CODA football season, the New Rochelle Huguenots wore our logo on their helmets starting week 2. My husband and I were in the Carrier Dome when they won the state championship wearing our CODA 2-star logo. It's incredible to see the power of CODA games. They started in the spring, literally right after that youth summit. We had those decals ready to go, and the students brought them back to their schools, and we started doing incredible work. There are field announcements. You know, if you've got a community event, not everybody's parents or guardians are going to come out to hear something on this topic. But if you are messaging pathways to substance misuse and addiction, mental health, issues and challenges, what resources are available in the community, and everybody's hearing it in a place where they've come together. And then on the flip side, you got the bracelets flying in the crowd, and you've got everybody feeling motivated and excited. That's how change happens. I can tell you that I've had adults ask me, so, co-occurring disorders awareness as a homecoming theme? Like, is that fun? Is it fun to have an awareness game? And I'm like, think about the number of topics and diseases and disorders that young people rally around, that they have awareness games for. Co-occurring disorders is something that most of them have never heard of. It impacts their generation more than anything else. They get the ability to connect and support one another. They get to raise awareness in their larger community, and they get to really be the ones who say mental health matters, and I understand what happens if I'm not taking care of my mental health. If I'm worried about a friend and I think they might be self-medicating, knowing what resources are available in the community. So this was really hard for me. As we transitioned to all virtual, we had just finished our basketball games, and things were really, in a real tenuous spot, like what was going to happen next. So we created all kinds of things for student athletes to do during the pandemic, a lot of virtual tools. But then the good news is we started doing virtual CODA games. We did things on Zoom. And then we moved into the space where once players started taking the field again, we started doing CODA games. So right now, Valhalla's done games. We've got football games coming up in Somers and White Plains and New Rochelle and in Lakeland. And we're, masks on some of the teams are green. They're wearing the 2-star logo, and they're sharing the information. There you go. There's the Valhalla crew. Their soccer season was dedicated, and soccer was Harris's sport. So that's where this has been a lot of fun. So that's kind of where we're at in the world of sports. But so I'm going to ask you, Cornell, can we do another poll? Because I kind of want to know the answer to this one.
Of course, let's do it. Has your school ever hosted a CODA game? Either yes or no. Let's see what these results are looking like. Stephanie, you know how much I love these polls.
I know.
Let's see. All right, I think they're about in. It's looking like it's more no than yes. It's not final yet, but I believe we're almost there. So it looks like the answer is more no. We had about 65% no and 35% yes, Stephanie.
So that means that I have a lot of work to do. But the good news is, so when I ordered those decals for helmets and cleats and all of that stuff, I ordered it from the same company that Major League Baseball uses. And
Oh, wow.
so when I got on the phone with them, they're like, well, how many do you want? And I said, well, I have a feeling this is going to be really successful. So I probably ordered about 25,000, which they said was more than MLB orders for any like awareness things that they do. So, you know, you're going to all be getting a Google Drive at the end that's going to have order forms and all of the information. And so if your school hasn't been doing CODA games and you want to, you're going to get the opportunity to do it. If you're already doing CODA games but you don't have the swag and stuff, we'll be able to provide that. But I want to know, you know, because I know not everybody goes to athletic events. Not everybody is a student athlete. I want to know where else this group of young people want to see CODA happening. So I'm going to throw it back to you, Cornell. What do we got?
Okay. We have another poll, right? What other places can CODA reach your school community? Art show, health class, drama, play, student government, student clubs, announcements, communications, or chorus band. We gave them a lot of options on this one, Stephanie. Let's see.
And they can vote for as many as they want. So, you know, our goal is to kind of like, you know what? One thing that I didn't really talk about is that a lot of things around mental health and substance use in schools are like one and dones. Like you bring a speaker in and then they leave and the message leaves with them. Our goal with CODA is to like infuse the whole community with the conversation. So, you know, I'm looking to be able to provide as much support through the Harris Project and all of our sponsors and supporters as we can. So I'm looking forward to really seeing the response from this one.
This one looks like it's close. It's close, Stephanie. Clubs came in number one at 88%, but art show was at 31%. Health class was at 74%. Drama play was at 31%. Student government was at 59%. And announcements, communications came in number two at 76%. And then chorus band was at 24%, Steph.
So I am feeling like we have a lot of fun space to do things in, and my hope is to be able to hear from a lot of you about how to actually do that. I also want you to think about other things, like if you want to write in the chat or you want to send me an email with other ideas that you have. I'm going to say Valhalla's CODA Club has done an incredible field day. New Rochelle CODA always has an incredible, they do mocktail parties where everybody's talking CODA facts. And so the amount of creativity that we can bring to this space has been really limitless. And Cornell, I know you have like a DJ academy. So like, how do you think that this work could fit into that?
I think it'll fit great. You know, I started my DJ Academy to be able to help kids out and expose them to different opportunities. So I actually think the DJ Academy would work excellent. And I would love to hopefully, you know, start working with some of these guys in these Westchester schools.
Yeah, because I mean, the vision is that we want to meet you where you are as students. Like we know you have a lot of interests, like a lot of pulls on your time. But if you can kind of take this message and add your own special flavor to it, that's really the power of the movement. There is not a single, from our hashtag to our events, that doesn't get guided by our young people. And so, you know, another place where we've been doing a lot of work and it kind of went a bit on hold is our CODA Walk. And I know that we have a video that I'm going to talk over about that. So we started our CODA Walk at Pace University. I met the director of their government relations department at an event, and he's like, we want to walk with you. And I said, wow, you know, it's not just about fundraising, it's really about awareness. And so our first walk 2 years ago had over, 300, 400 people. And then in 2019, again, we had this was our 2019 walk. They expanded it from the field to the whole campus, and things kept growing and moving. And we were part of their community day. Their football team did a CODA game on the same day, and the momentum was really building. And there again is when, the pandemic came. They postponed their community day, and then their women's lacrosse team filled the gap. They decided we're going to do a virtual walk, and they started walking, and it became how on social media it's that tagging and sharing and tagging a friend and then other people and other teams, and it just kept building and growing. And that's what I'm hoping to spark tonight is we're kind of shifting back into the world of being there, but then we're also kind of recognizing this how is it going to go? And so my hope is that in the fall, we'll have our walk again at Pace University. But if we can't physically all be on the Pace campus, that each individual school with their social distancing or whatever those protocols are, that all of these young people come together, they bring their teams together, and we all walk for co-occurring disorders awareness. So
that'd be amazing.
So the other cool thing that happens in this really strange space is our social media footprint began to grow. So, how are you going to reach people who are all over the county when I'm not even physically allowed into the space if I can't connect? And so I kind of put out the call to our CODA leaders in all the different schools. I kind of went from 300 followers on Instagram to over 1,200. And, I hope you guys follow me after this at the Harris Project COD. But that's kind of how it happened. But I know that I'm a certain age, and I only know what I know, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, right? So what I want to know, and I'm going to throw this back to you again because this audience needs to guide this part of the conversation. What's our next poll?
Well, Stephanie, first off, you still look like you're 21, so stop it. All right, but I'm interested in knowing the answer to this as well. What is the best social media platform to engage with your peers? Is it Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, or Snapchat? Now, I really want to know this. I really want to know the answer to this, Stephanie. Oh, it looks like Instagram is in the lead. With, hold on, TikTok looks like it's gauging up in second place. I think we're about done. It looks like it's Instagram at 48%, and then it looks like TikTok came in second at 35%. Facebook, which I expected, was only at 3%. Twitter 0%, and Snapchat at 14%.
Okay, so this is really important for me because I waste a lot of time on Twitter, apparently. So I am going to use it for certain things, but I'm not wasting my time. Facebook, quite frankly, I use to kind of share messages with people my age, but I do like posting on Instagram. And I am going to put out the call on TikTok because I watch TikTok. I would never create content on TikTok, but I know that at times on TikTok, there's this thing I was today days old when I learned about, and I feel like educating about co-occurring disorders through that platform because so many people have never heard of it. I mean, think about it, Cornell. So your dad, my son, but how many think Mac Miller, Avicii,
exactly.
DMX? I mean, you're watching people on the public stage who have co-occurring disorders and have died, and they probably had no clue that they had it. And so we can use these platforms to do that work. And so, Cornell, how do you tell us a little about you? You're the DJ. How do you use social media?
Well, I was going to say, honestly, I'm realizing now I need to get into TikTok even more because I do it, but I need to get into it more. But, obviously everybody can follow me as well at DJ Whutever, just spelled or whatever with a U. But I use social media a lot. It's super important in my branding, just as far as me getting my message out of what I do, from me being a DJ to running a DJ academy to owning a water company. It's super huge. And obviously it's the easiest way for me to reach the masses of people. So for me, with hashtags, branding, even when I'm on iHeartRadio, I use social media a lot. I'm just learning. I think I need to get into the TikTok a little bit more, honestly.
I would have to agree. And I'm going to say that, a lot of what happened for me is kind of like an unexpected journey. I mean, clearly my tragedy guides everything, but the most incredible people have entered my life. And so even our hashtags like CODA Connects and Be the Link, like our original hashtag was, what is CODA? Like that was my great idea because nobody knew what it was, but nobody knew what that hashtag meant either.
Yeah.
Putting together that group of young people who are like CODA Connects, like, it's on the bracelet, like it just made sense. And then Be the Link that like, I see you representing, having that constant like awareness of, wow, who would I link to if I was concerned about myself or a friend? Like before crisis happens, being really proactive. But the other really strange thing, like, and I'm sure you noticed during the pandemic, was this whole thing about like tagging and sharing and tagging and sharing. And so you're spreading messages because people weren't together. And so I had a lot of great success with students who were involved in CODA who created activities like that. And so one of those groups was the Valhalla CODA Club. I want to show that video really quickly to everybody about how that kind of worked.
Hi everyone. Since May is Mental Health Awareness Month, we, the members of Valhalla CODA, have an activity for everyone here in Westchester called Be the Link. You're going to print and cut out this design, or you're going to draw it yourself. And if you're on social media, you can screenshot and edit the photo.
Write your name in the small star.
And write the name of someone that you want to connect with in the bigger star.
Decorate your design and then call or FaceTime the person you would like to connect with.
Post your picture using the hashtags Be the Link and CODA Connects.
On Instagram, be sure to tag the Harris Project COD and Westchester_County_government.
On Twitter, tag at WestchesterGov and at the Harris Pro. Be sure to tag 3 friends to do it too. Keep this activity going through the end of May, and always remember to check up on your loved ones.
So that actually started as a Valhalla Be the Link event. Dylan, one of their students, created the V, and then with May being Mental Health Month, I asked her if she could create the W so we could do a tagging event that went all around the whole county. And then Dylan on her own created every single letter of the alphabet. So each school district in the county can do their own Be the Link activity. That too is in the Google Drive. They also did Jump Up for CODA, which was, they asked me, what was Harris's soccer number? And it was 7. And they did Jump Up for CODA so that with 7 jumping jacks, everybody from kindergarten all the way through to 12th grade could participate. They did See a Quote and Leave a Quote, which actually they just did as they welcomed everybody back to school. They had Post-it notes everywhere with positive affirmations. And you see the one in the middle, promoting that acceptance every single day. But the other thing that we did was we've created this Harris Project's CODA Connector Ambassador Program. So on one hand, if you want to be like a brand ambassador for co-occurring disorders awareness, you will get the entire file with all of our social media tiles and all of that messaging. But the coolest thing about that is I was always reposting like other people's content. But what I realized was we needed original content, and we got a grant during this whole pandemic from WMC Health. And part of that funding allowed us to create tiles that literally helped us bring co-occurring disorders out of the shadows and into the light. So all of you are going to have these tiles be the link, how you get co-occurring disorders, that overlap between substance use and mental health. So we're going to go through some of these tiles just so that you can see them. On one side, we've got kind of facts. On the other, we have those self-affirmations, the importance of self-care. Then we have, again, you're lovable and enough always, combined with, mental health conditions and substance use. Like the best treatment is getting help for both at the same time. The sooner someone gets the right help, the better. And this one I think got a lot of love on social media. The staying positive does not mean that things will always turn out okay. It's knowing that you will be okay no matter how things turn out. And it's really about that developing resiliency. You are not alone, the fact that help is available. Those are really key messages as we move this conversation forward. And these are two of my personal favorites. Your brain isn't fully developed until you're 25 and you've got that watering can, treat it nicely. And, you are the greatest project you will ever work on. And so the hope is that you're going to look at our social media tiles, you're going to start using them the way that you want to tell the narrative, the way your district wants to do that work. Because again, the vision is that this is not my movement. This is a collaborative effort to really mobilize our young people around something that maybe they've never heard of. And wow, I have conversations coming up, events coming up in the next couple of weeks that are at college campuses where my CODA kids have graduated and they're in college and they're bringing presentations like around the country, which you could do via Zoom now. So I've got a lot coming up. I'll be in Washington, I'll be, in Connecticut, I'm going to be in Pennsylvania, like all of those really cool opportunities that we wouldn't normally have.
Amazing, Stephanie.
So from social media, where do we go? What should be the next topic? And for me, advocacy was a big piece. So why does advocacy matter to me? So some of you are here tonight because you're interested in the cause. Some of you are here tonight because you want to bring this message to your school community. Some of you may be thinking about going into the behavioral sciences. Some of you want to be like leaders in change, like at the state level. Like you saw, Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins at the beginning, and she referred to Senator Pete Harckham, who's the chair of the Alcohol and Substance Use Committee, but he's also a person in recovery. So what I'd like you to understand is that right now, an organization like the Harris Project, we don't fit into like the mental health budgeting for the state and that office. We don't really fit into the addiction services and supports, which is like the other. There's like two separate agencies that are separate. So a kid like Harris going in for treatment, if he was in a mental health program and he said that he was using substances and they checked a box, they would move him out of the mental health program and into the substance use program. That's not the way to effectively address what people need. And so I knew that we had to start this advocacy piece, but I also knew that collaborating with our providers was one big step of it. But another big step was for young people to start talking about this, to start advocating for this. Like if you watch the movements around gun control, around racial inequity and social justice, and you hear the voices of our young people, you know how incredibly powerful they are. And so I'd like to turn this over to some people who've been doing advocacy work, and let's see what they have to say about it.
Hi everyone, State Senator Pete Harckham here. I want to thank you all for your advocacy on CODA. You are pushing the discussion in Albany on how we treat co-occurring disorders, substance use disorder, behavioral health. You're driving the conversation and your activism is so meaningful. So I want to say thank you. As someone in long-term recovery, it's also so important that we end the stigma around this conversation. People need to know that it's okay to seek treatment and that we love them and support them. So please continue the fight, continue the work. Hopefully next year we can gather in person if everybody stays safe and gets vaccinated. But for now, thank you for everything you're doing and keep fighting.
Hi, I'm Westchester Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins. I want to thank you for taking the time and understanding your importance in today's CODA Youth Summit. Co-occurring disorder awareness is extremely important and it's led by our young people. And I'm extremely impressed every time I see our young people leading this particular charge. And whether it's a CODA Week celebration, a CODA walk, a sporting event like the New York Liberty supporting CODA activities, or countless places I've been, I am super impressed because our young people are leading the way. Over the past year, COVID-19, issues of social injustice, political division, and just plain old growing up have had a tremendous impact on the mental health and wellness of our youth. Your participation today understands and highlights a meaningful opportunity for you to express yourself concerning the intersection between mental health, substance misuse, and addiction. Enjoy this particular conference, use this time wisely, and we hear you and we understand you. Your voice matters.
CODA signifies the spread of awareness, uniting people, and the opportunity to speak out about mental health. CODA's spread of awareness brought people together pre-COVID at walks and homecomings and continues to unite people over technology. The Harris Project has given me opportunities ranging from spreading awareness to fellow classmates to testifying at an Oasis and the New York Office of Mental Health sessions. CODA's message has stuck with me because multiple people I personally know have been diagnosed with mental disorders and are more likely to gravitate towards overusing substances. Due to CODA, I am more aware of co-occurring disorders and the causes and effects of co-occurring disorders, while also having a platform to speak out.
After hearing a youth advocacy presentation by Mrs. Marquesano at State Senator David Carlucci's Student Advisory Council meeting, I instantly fell in love with CODA's mission. It struck me that with the social isolation imposed by the pandemic, it has been more important than ever to support organizations such as the Harris Project that empower youth with knowledge about the relationship between substance misuse and addiction and mental health problems. Thereby, within minutes of the meeting, I contacted Ms. Marquesano with enthusiasm on how I can become a youth advocate and support the CODA mission.
So advocacy, like why advocate, right? Why does this matter? So I'm going to tell you that since we started doing this work, those two state agencies that I referred to are actually looking at integrating. When Ashley talked about testifying, she actually testified live at the session talking about the importance of co-occurring disorders awareness prevention. Swanit, who was the vice president of finance for New York State DECA, brought the conversation to the entire state, and he too submitted testimony. And so why advocate? It's the key way to get elected officials to really get your input. Like, they want to know what you think. There's value in sharing what the issue means to you, how it impacts people in their everyday life. And most importantly, with young people doing this advocacy work, is that it provides a really unique perspective. Your vision, I have a vision as a parent. You may have the vision as a child, like Cornell, of somebody who struggled with co-occurring disorders. You may be concerned about friends. You may know reasons that are different than mine. And so your perspective and your voice is really important. Advocating, you identify the problem and you work through the steps all the way to the goal. And so moving through the research, the data points, how you gather the information so that you can effectively advocate. We've had advocacy evenings to support that. So if that's something that you're looking to do, you're going from problem to goal, we can support you doing that. Research, goal, and aligning. So what does it mean when I say that you should align? It's building those relationships. What I learned very quickly at the beginning was, if all I did was tell Harris's story, people would feel bad for me. They might cry with me. They might empathize with me. But if I wasn't building collaborations with young people, with advisors at schools, with superintendents of schools and administrators, with teachers and the teachers union, with our providers and with our young people, like, this wouldn't move forward. This would just be another mom telling a sad story. So aligning your message with other people who believe in the work creates a richness in the dialogue. So we don't just approach it from the provider, we're doing treatment voice. We bring it to the table from every single level. And that's what I think makes our advocacy so effective. You watched Ashley. I will say that what Ashley gave you in that very brief conversation, she was about 45 seconds, clear, catchy, consistent statements, co-occurring disorders, some of the facts, why it personally connected to her and the people she knew, and what she was doing to make change. So clear, catchy, and consistent. 30-second elevator pitch. I would say that what you heard was probably the neatest, tidiest version of that I could think of. It really is designed to, again, if you were, and it came from this expression, came from the fact that, like, if you were stuck in an elevator with somebody who was important and you were trying to convince them of something, could you do it in 30 seconds or less? And so literally, that's what this is designed to do. And our final picture is going to show you where it all comes together. And that's our advocacy planning. And so we're looking forward to having more of those nights. As you can see, Ashley's in there, Swanit's in there, many of our CODA students are in there. Dr. Damia Harris-Madden is there. She's the director of the Youth Bureau. And we worked with Westchester Children's Association to help us really create this advocacy movement because that's their area of expertise. So again, it's really about collaboration. But why does advocacy matter, Cornell? For us, for you and me, for people who've lived through loss. What does it do? Like how could effective treatment have changed things for you?
I agree, and all the information that you're giving is wonderful, but I think it could have made a huge difference. My dad was a very smart, intellectual guy, but it's a chance that he wasn't given the right tools that he might have needed to succeed. So, I'm loving all of the points that you're hitting on, and hopefully everybody's, receiving the message like even I am right now.
And that's kind of why we're doing this. I mean, for me, it was Harris, and what could things have been different, for us? But I'm going to say, so I do the presentations, right? And I've been doing the presentations like probably since like right after Harris died. Probably 6 months later, I did my first presentation. And the momentum grows and the momentum builds. And I always talk about the facts, the kind of fun stuff, the CODA movement. And I always talk about kind of what's broken in the system. And then I start talking about treatment. And my biggest frustration has been that there are always young people that'll come over to me and say, so where do I go for co-occurring disorders treatment? How can I help myself? How can I help a loved one? And the challenge for me was, we have great providers. I chair the co-occurring system of care committee through the Department of Community Mental Health. Everybody had we're working towards systems transformation, but we didn't have the treatment model. And so as good as it felt, there was a missing piece. And so during the pandemic, part of that WMC Health grant was they gave us the opportunity to bring evidence-based treatment to our community. So in Westchester County, where we are, there is a program called Encompass, and this is going to shift it up a little bit for everybody, but I really think that it's important to know that prevention matters, but the right treatment to support people in recovery is really, really important too. So why don't we take a look at what that's all about?
My name is Chris John, and I'm the Dual Recovery Coordinator with the Department of Community Mental Health and a professor in the Social Work Department at Iona College. We're excited to partner with the Harris Project for the CODA Summit this year, and glad you're able to join us. In my career as a teacher and a social worker, I'm aware of the many stresses you have as youth that can impact your health, such as academic and athletic pressures, issues in your home or community, stigmas related to any disability, race and gender, and peer pressures to engage in activities that may be harmful, which includes use of substances that are illegal or misuse of substances that are not illegal.
Hi, my name is Stephanie. I'm a former New Rochelle High School student and athlete. My father was a Vietnam veteran, and he suffered greatly from post-traumatic stress disorder his entire life. He unfortunately never sought out the help he needed and used alcohol and drugs as a way to self-medicate. And in my first year of high school, he actually ended up taking his own life. It then had a big trickle-down effect to my family as well as myself. I was lucky enough to connect with a social worker who not only held a safe space for me, but educated me on the co-occurring disorders that I had, the predispositions that I inherited from him with substance abuse. And she also introduced me to other students who had similar situations than I did, really helping me not to feel alone and helping me to navigate through high school and all those extra challenges that presents in itself. And I can confidently say that if I hadn't gotten that help, I mean, it not only saved my life, but I wouldn't be where I am today without it. And I truly believe that if my father had gotten the help that he needed, he would be here today with us. And so I am forever grateful, and I really truly understand the power of education and getting that help that you truly need and not being afraid to ask for it.
Hi, I'm William Mullane for Westchester Jewish Community Services. WJCS is excited to be partnering with the Harris Project and other community partners to support youth with co-occurring disorders by offering Encompass, a groundbreaking treatment that combines everything we know works into a single treatment for co-occurring substance use and mental health disorders so that we customize a treatment to your needs.
Hi, my name is Lorena Rukai. I am one of the licensed mental health therapists here at St. Vincent Hospital in Harrison, New York. Encompass is an innovative treatment that incorporates both mental health treatment as well as substance use treatment in one. Historically, mental health treatment and substance use treatment have been provided as two different treatments, with clients having to see two different therapists or attend two different programs to address these two co-occurring disorders within the same individual. With Encompass, clients do not have to see two different therapists. They are provided one integrated treatment that allows them to recover from both substance use or addiction, as well as mental health concerns or symptoms.
Hi, my name is Dustin Luckin. I currently work at the Mental Health Association of Westchester as the Director of Special Projects. The work that Stephanie and the Harris Project have done on co-occurring disorders is really amazing. I wish that there was something like that when I was growing up to, when I first started experimenting and started struggling with some things, I would have had some resources to go to and some information to look at instead of trying to figure it out myself. So that guides me into why I do the work I do now, is because I don't want anyone to go through the things that I had to go through. So I really applaud her and all the people that do this type of work.
Hi, my name is Henry Wanamaker, and I'm a licensed clinician at the Guidance Center of Westchester. Encompass is a treatment model for teens and young adults. Encompass uses weekly sessions for one-on-one treatment with an individual who has substance use and mental health co-occurring disorders. The sessions incorporate evidence-based modules to address the student's goals for behavior change using positive or pro-social, non-substance related activities.
Hi, I'm Megan Molina, and I'm a social worker at WJCS. Offering Encompass to my WJCS clients has created a remarkable shift in the way that we talk about mental health and substance use disorders. The young people are experiencing the difference this co-occurring treatment has made in their lives. Currently, sessions are being offered virtually as well as in person at some high schools. There's an Encompass provider available to you regardless of your ability to pay.
To me, knowledge is power, and by being able to inform our peers and our adults on co-occurring disorders and how common they truly are, we're all playing our part in society. Personally, I know a few people who've struggled with co-occurring disorders, and I believe that if they had this club reaching out to them and informing them, that it would have made a huge and positive impact on their struggle.
The first step is knowing this may exist for you and taking the steps to prevent it from getting any worse. Next is knowing that there's help out there for you, your families, and the community. And third is taking leadership of this common experience to assist others who may also need help similar to what you're experiencing. We are here for you, we see you, we are listening, and we're here to help.
Well, that's a lot to take in, but I have to say, like from a what I'm really proud of standpoint, the fact that 22 clinicians in our county are doing Encompass. They're part of a 2-year treatment protocol training with the developer of the program. We're the only place on this whole half of the United States that's doing this work. And so it's cutting edge, and the young people that have already enrolled are getting so much out of the program, and they don't have to go away for treatment. They get to stay home, go to school, go to once a week therapy. What do you think, Cornell?
I think it's incredible, super incredible. I love it. I love everything that I'm hearing and what I'm seeing.
And as Megan said, like, one of the key things is it doesn't matter if you have insurance, if you don't have insurance, if you can pay, if you can't afford to pay, if you need to do it virtually, if you can do it, you know, going into a place. The goal was to make this available for everybody in the county. You know, Westchester is a very diverse place to live. You know, you go very up north and it's very kind of rural, and then you kind of come down to the urban towns, and we wanted to make sure that our young people could get access to the best care possible. And thanks to you and your voices and your advocacy, like, we're making this happen in very real ways. But there's some other things that we could do, kind of like that early intervention space, which I have to say, prevention, awesome. Treatment model, wonderful. Like, we're really we're getting where we want to be. But what do we do in that kind of social, emotional, creating connection space? Like, what did we develop for that? So we developed activities and materials that can support social emotional learning. Now, I'm going to share the secret. So there are a lot of school districts that spend a lot of money buying social emotional learning programs. It's a really big rollout, and there's a lot of training involved in it. I'm going to say, as a mom who received funding from Montefiore, who's also funding this event, you know what happens? Young people want to take their thoughts and feelings and they want to turn them into words. Like, it's really no more complicated than that. And so we created these things. What's important to me? You know, we saw that at the beginning, you know, the very beginning video, you know, that tool that we had, it was a physical piece of paper. What makes a good day good? What are my strengths? What are some of the challenges that I'm facing? Then when COVID happened, we immediately took that piece of paper tool and we created a virtual text box so people could write in it, and they could do it with a class and they could share, because you know what I think we've all learned during the Zoom time is there are people in a Zoom room who are really comfortable sharing. They talk a lot. They're giving everybody kind of like their information and their ideas. But there are other people in that Zoom room who have just as much to say, but they really don't know how to find their voice. So using a tool like What's Important to Me allows you to do that. And then we created the companion piece, What's Important to Us. That's for a club, a team, a class, an entire grade, an entire school, talking about culture, talking about the things that you value as a school community. Like, how many schools have like that, you know, family, strong, like all of those words before your name, but you don't really know what that means. And so this is designed to build together around a culture. And I know we have some other tools. Our CODA quotes, those really took off at Woodlands. My brother's keeper did this with their high school mentors, with the middle school students, where people started doing research on quotes that resonated for them. Like, what words have other people said that I could share with other people that they may want to use, that kind of are uplifting or even talk about despair and struggle? And then the more research students started doing, then they started attaching pictures to them, and they created their own logos and brands, similar to how we created the CODA brands. And then beyond that, they started developing their own quotes. They started taking words and putting them together in poems and taking lines from those poems and running with it and posting it on social media so that other students could start seeing what they were important, you know, the words that were important to them. And that was our CODA quotes. Self-care bingo. So I remember early on in the pandemic, I was watching TV and the first thing came across my phone. It was a bingo board. And I thought, I'm getting on this right away. Like, I am creating CODA bingo. And I reached out, I started texting students. I'm like, what are the kind of things that you would put on a self-care CODA bingo board? And we builds it out. And then the cool thing is, and all of those instructions are also in the Google Drive, the easiest thing is you kind of put it right up on your Instagram story, and you could use emojis, or you could use like the pen, and you start crossing it out, and then you tag other people. And even though that bingo board takes no time to complete, the activities themselves are self-care activities that you can start doing. So the self-care bingo is in the CODA toolkit again this year for our CODA weeks, which is really, started April 8th. Brown's Harris's birthday was a week, then it was 2 weeks, then last year it was a whole month, and this year it's a whole month again. So self-care bingo is another one of those tools. We also wanted to start incorporating some grounding exercises. One that I really liked is the 5 senses one. Like if you're struggling with an anxiety disorder or you're just feeling uncomfortable and stressed out, using this 3 things that you can see, hear, feel, smell, and taste is a really good way to ground your thoughts and feelings. And our final one, which I know in a minute we're going to go to that gallery view, so I hope everybody has their cameras on because it's time to bring you in. But I know my daughter, who's a social worker, she really likes the Foursquare breathing exercise, and we were developing content. The creative person we used, she created this, what I think is like a really easy to follow graphic for how to do Foursquare breathing. So I'm going to kind of read the graphic, but then I'm going to turn it over to the gallery so we can all do this Foursquare breathing exercise together. But basically what you're doing is you're counting to 4 as you breathe in, you're counting to 4 as you hold, you're counting to 4 as you breathe out, and then you're counting to 4 as you hold that in. And when you do this Foursquare breathing, the concentration it takes to do the breathing right automatically relaxes you. I mean, I have to say, even just sharing this with you now has caused me to be a little relaxed. So, Cornell, do you mind leading the crowd in a little Foursquare breathing?
Definitely. Let's do it. All right, everybody. So let's practice the Foursquare breathing all together right now. Be sure you're sitting up straight so you can take deep breaths. You focus on your breath, and I'll do the counting for us. All right? Now let's slowly exhale all of your breath. Then breathe in through your nose. 2, 3, 4. Now hold. 2, 3, 4. Now breathe out through your mouth. 2, 3, 4. Now pause and hold. 2, 3, 4. You can do as many rounds as you need until you feel more grounded. How you feeling,
Thank you
Stephanie?
so much, Cornell. I'm feeling more relaxed just by doing it. Are we back? We're back and we're live.
Yeah, I think we're back. How you feeling, Stephanie? You feeling good? You feeling nice and relaxed?
I kind of checked out there for a second. Yes.
Me too. I'm feeling real nice and relaxed.
Yeah, so I'm kind of figuring like CODA weeks are coming up. I have to say, I looked at my phone for just a second because I'm already getting texts and I'm getting messages on Instagram like, what are we doing for CODA weeks? And I'm basically saying, so the advisors in every school district is going to get the Google Drive with all the stuff in it. But you, the students we have all of your emails, you're going to be getting the email with the entire drive. So if you want to get started, if you're at a school that isn't doing a whole bunch of CODA stuff yet, you can really take the lead. I can tell you that there is not a superintendent in the county, a principal, a guidance counselor, a social worker, a student assistance counselor that doesn't believe in the work. So you're going to have a great time, as people start building momentum around the cause. So Cornell, I think we have a final poll. And then we have a really cool way to wrap this up. So what's our final poll?
Okay, so what's next, guys? Is it, we're going to do a multiple choice. Is it CODA games? Is it CODA community conversation? Is it CODA advocacy? CODA walk? CODA social media campaign? Or something else? Drum roll, please. We need to know this one. This one is super important as far as what we're doing next and what we got going on. Let's see. CODA games is looking like it's the leader right now, Stephanie, but I'm trying to wait for it to close. I'm still hearing the drum roll.
Seems like there's stuff hinging up.
Yeah, hold on. This is close, Stephanie. This is close.
Race. I know.
Oh, I see the winner. The winner is CODA Games, but it looked like it's the winner just by a teeny hair. The CODA Games is the winner of 58%. CODA Community Conversation is 29%. CODA Advocacy came in at 28%. You know what, Stephanie? Which came in number 2 is CODA Walk. That was at 52%. Again, CODA Games was at 58%, but CODA Walk was at 52%. So that's another close one. And then right after that came in CODA's social media campaign. That came in at 44%. So that's pretty strong as well. And then only 13% put something else. So that's pretty cool.
So I'm going to start with the 13%, and I'm going to say, if you are thinking of something else, email me, Stephanie@theharrisproject.org. Like, I love those new ideas, those innovative ideas, but I'm going to say I'm really excited because the CODA Games can be happening with the spring season right now. The CODA Walk, the plan is for the fall, and so you're going to be the leaders in kind of spreading the messaging out, getting your team signed up, and those social media campaigns, they are right now sitting in that Google Drive ready to go to you. And it's not like we just want you to post them and share them. We want feedback. What are we missing? What do you like? What do you want to see more of? So this way we can really continue to build this out in your voice and your vision. But I think I present a lot, and I always feel like it's important to start that planning. Like, what are we going to do next? Like, how do I walk away from tonight knowing what really I took away? And so if you could just put up that last graphic, I think we've got one more. Yes, the planning guide. So in that Google Drive, you are going to have this way to plan your event after. Like, what were the messages that resonated with you? What are your priorities? What do you want to do first? Who do you want to get involved in that? What are your goals for those activities? Like, how do we get it going? And once again, we created it in a way where you can type right in onto the form. You can like screenshot it. You can share it with me. You can share it with your administration, your fellow students, and you can really start being the game players, the action planners, and being able to do all of that work. And so, Cornell,
yes,
I'm wondering, this whole night of a whirlwind.
Listen, I'm super excited. For one, you're never getting rid of me, Stephanie. I'm gonna be a part of everything going forward, some way, somehow. But I'm super excited. You know, whether it's the CODA walks, whether it's the CODA games, I'm loving how it's all about the youth and them getting the word out, to help their peers. And we're offering different ways to be able to help each other in different ways, like you said, from your house to going to different places. I love all the different, variety and ways that we're able to help. So I'm here to stay, Stephanie, and I'm loving the mission. I'm loving everything it's about. And, even like I said, it's a deeper story with me, even going to my dad, who, lived in a rehabilitation center for people who struggled with alcohol and drug addiction and things of that sort. So this right here, it touches my heart, and I'm super happy to be a part of it. And that's part of the reason why you're not getting rid of me ever.
And I'm going to say, in my journey, I have had some really extraordinary people come through, and you are probably one of the most special. And, the next thing you got coming is you're going to be DJing that walk, because we always want to DJ for that walk. So and I know you do a lot of work with the community. You do a lot of, work to kind of engage young people in positive activities. And I know that we have a lot of things that we can do together ahead. If you're listening as a student and you want to do something with the DJ Academy, or if you want to bring, Cornell and I in together to kind of have a different kind of community conversation, we're all about that. And we're all about what it is that will best support you and really bring this message forward. I mean, we didn't spend a lot of time talking about that treatment video, but when you think about, Dustin and his story and Stephanie and her story, and just, what could have been had the right treatment been there? What could have been if prevention really brought together this conversation? And so for me, I am so incredibly grateful for the elected officials who come to everything. Our majority leader can talk about co-occurring disorders. Senator Harckham just proposed the legislation to integrate the two agencies. Right now, there's no assembly bill. Like, I'm going to be asking young people to maybe write letters to our assembly people to get them to sponsor that bill, to talk about how important it is to bring it together. Right here in Westchester County, County Executive Latimer, Deputy County Executive Jenkins, Commissioner Orth from the Department of Community Mental Health, like, these are really key people who believe in the work. Student assistance services, they've got a lot on their plate doing, substance use counseling in the schools. They're all, the advisors are so committed to the message. Montefiore, co-sponsors, and what WMC Health. But it's you, the young people that are out there that are truly making the difference. I want to especially thank you, Cornell, for being part of this evening with me. I want to thank VCast. They're hosting this whole event, this platform, this, like, if you saw the control room of what actually goes on. And I also want to give a special thank you to my partner in crime, Tori Shaw, who is typically in a live youth summit, running around with the clipboard, keeping everything on track. And now she is eight months pregnant, behind the scenes doing this work. And I don't know, is it possible to kind of go to the gallery? I kind of would love to see some reactions. As we're kind of closing this out. Would that be possible? So I guess you guys can't see us, but we can see you. Hey, Carly, I'm looking at some applauses. I see my daughter Jensen. I see a lot. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being part of our event. We're really looking forward to keeping in touch with you, with sharing all of the information with you in the Google Drive, to celebrating CODA Weeks as we close out, the rest of April. I know student assistance, all your schools are doing it the last week in April. Sporting events are happening starting this coming weekend. So reach out. We're here, and we're so glad that you were able to join us. So I wish everybody a safe evening, an emerging where you feel comfortable in your own skin. And I'm going to say, for some of you, this time during the pandemic has been really, really challenging, and you're looking forward to emerging. For some of you, going back to school, going back to that world is a challenge for you. We're here. Reach out. You've got staff at the school that really wants to know if you're okay. Those check-ins are really important. Friends, peers, if you're concerned about somebody, know who you would link to. This is the time for us to kind of take our power, build those connections, and support one another. So thank you so much, Cornell.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it so much, and hopefully we'll see each other again soon.
That we will. Good night, everybody, and thanks so much for joining us for the 2021 CODA Virtual Youth Summit.
Good night.
Good night.